The next step we have to take care of is exporting Canet from DAS to Blender, because I found some boots that I want to use as a base, but I don't want to use them as they are here. So for me to be able to manipulate them, you can, by the way, you can manipulate also vertices and meshes in DAS. I don't feel very comfortable doing it this way. Also, I always feel like I don't really have full control over everything. So instead I'm gonna export through the bridge to Blender, and I'm gonna fix the boots up. And something else that I also did adjust is the eyes. So just giving you a heads up, I didn't leave it as we intended it. Also, you realize that I put her into a T position. So the current animation, which is not really an animation, but it goes from 0, which is like an open A, to the T position. And I just think it's good to have those two, and then whatever we want to do after, we can do after. For now, I think I'm just gonna stick with exporting the static mesh though. So for me to do this, and I don't know if all of you saw this, but I heard you, and when you were saying that you had troubles getting the bridge to work. So I included this little tutorial, not mine, but from someone else who realized that getting the bridge to work can be a real pain. So instead, if you're not very lucky with the automatic setup, just follow this tutorial, use the resources that are put on this GitHub page, and essentially manually install it. I guarantee it will work. Actually, I had trouble last time, so I did it and it worked just fine. So yeah, here we are. Point is, we're gonna select the whole Genesis, and then we go to File, Send to, DAS to Blender. And then you can already see, so you can select here a skeleton mesh, static mesh, or the full animation. So we could, just for fun, do the animation, but I'm not gonna do this right now. So instead, yeah, we're gonna go for skeleton mesh. I have installed Blender 3.2, so it depends which version you have. Once you open Blender, it will always give you this like little welcoming screen, also with some really neat settings, and it will always state the version number in the top right. So in my case, like I said, I have 3.2 installed, so we should be fine with this. Yeah, I installed already the plugin, so don't need to do this again. I'm gonna go with a binary 2000. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like I have exported with a 2011 binary. I've exported with 2012. Now I'm exporting with 2014. It's probably gonna work as well. So I've never figured out what it means. If one thing doesn't work, probably try the next one. But it's like, it has never made much sense to me. If someone can explain it to me, I'm happy to listen. So you can say accept, and it's gonna move and shift and do all of those things while exporting the mesh. And so the huge advantage the bridge gives you is you don't have to manually set up the materials to look good. And I used to do it manually, and I would say it costs you like literally hours of setup time. So whenever you can use the bridge, just use the bridge. It is totally like 100% worth it, okay? So opening up Blender, I'm gonna go to my little widget that says DAS to Blender. Also in the setup process on how to do this, import new Genesis figure. And then whatever you exported just a few seconds ago from DAS should actually show up in here. And voila, Candid is in here. Right now, and I don't know how familiar you are with the viewport, but there are like different viewport options. So you can either click through them on the upper right through like those different like little balls, orbs. The other way on how to navigate is just pressing the Z key. It gives you wireframe, material preview, solid, and rendered preview. So you can also use these. I'm gonna go with rendered preview so you get like more of a sense what I mean when I say like you don't really have to fix up materials then anymore. And I think, yeah, I think I couldn't make myself any clearer. Like, it's a pretty decent material setup, even with, you know, there is no light, no nothing really involved. This is great. Okay, so as you can also see, something really cool is that when you import it this way, it gives you the complete rig of your avatar as well, which you wouldn't have otherwise. So saying that means like if you go into pose mode, right, and you select those things, like those little, let me go here. See how you can, sorry, you can actually like really pose this. Yeah, you can pose all of the tiny bits and pieces in here, which is like, it's pretty amazing actually. It's a complete rig, like up to, I'm not sure if this is like super visible, but up to like the little fingertips, there's everything included in this. It's crazy. So that's that's one of the huge advantages, I would say, aside from the material setup. Also you get, so if we go back into object mode and we select the avatar, you can also go in here and you will have vertex groups, but you should also have, ooh, maybe it's not anymore. I thought you also had like shape keys, but I guess the shape keys are not coming with this time. Not sure why though. I think they should, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but it's not truly important, so whatever. Also something that you can quite easily see is that I didn't export it with subdivisions. The reason for that is that I like to work in a way that's non-destructive. So in our case, this means having like the ability to change whenever I need to change these things. And in Blender, I have that ability by just using a subdivision modifier. So it's already applied. I didn't do that. So it already gives you the option. But if you don't see it, you just add the subdivision surface here. Okay, so let's put it to 1 and look at how smooth our little candidate is. It's really nice. Well, yeah, I think we're just gonna go now and do what we came to do, because the only thing I really want to do is get rid of this upper part. So the way to do this is go into edit mode and click really anywhere here. I assumed already those were like separate meshes. So what I've been doing is literally hovering over a specific area and pressing the L key. It's just L, like larger than life, L. And yeah, if you hover, you can select entire mesh pieces in Blender, which can be super helpful. I have no idea where this is coming from. We're also going to delete this now. Just pressing X to kill the vertices. And yeah, lastly, I would say getting rid of this piece. That makes no sense whatsoever. And this looks great. On top of that, I feel we can model the boots that we actually want to have. So that's pretty awesome. Also, yeah, I think we're gonna leave materials for later. So I'm just gonna save this now. Ooh, where are we? The Fabricant. I think this is our final render file. So turntable setup candidate. So I'm going to save this here. Now I'm going to take the avatar without the hair. I think actually even without the shoes for now. Let me check what we're actually trying to do again. Yeah, I think actually without even the shoes, actually without everything. And I'm gonna export her from here and not from DAS to import into, yeah, I think so, to import into Marvelous Designer. So file, export, and then FBX, selected objects only, and I'm gonna go to, I guess, part 2 clothing or part 1 avatar. Part 1 avatar. So I'm gonna go with Candid to Marvelous, and I'm gonna say from Blender. I don't know why, but I like to keep track of what those files really were meant for. It gives me kind of like, even after like a long time, like downloading this again, maybe from my Dropbox or from Google Drive, it allows me to understand which file belongs where, because depending on how, you know, maybe you do a ton of different animation sequences and all of this stuff, it gets very confusing very easily. I really have to say that. Okay, so export, let's hope that worked. And let's go in here and say file, import FBX, and let's see if we are lucky this time. So here we can see Candid to Marvelous T-pose shoes, Candid to Marvelous from Blender. That's the one that we want. So I think we didn't really apply an animation, but that's actually a good question. Did it? No, it didn't. It's just really a static mesh here. Nothing is happening, even if I open up the timeline. Okay. Oh. Oh, I thought there was a mistake, but turns out there wasn't. That's nice. So yeah, as you guys can see, she's in here now, but for some weird reason, the arms got lowered, and I have actually no idea why. So let me see if there are some X-ray joints, and also there are no X-ray joints. So all of this is pretty bad, because as discussed, like in another session that we had, I really want those joints to be in here. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to save this once again. And because we're not using the hair, we're not using the shoes, what we're going to do is essentially select in everything, being like file, export, and then Candid to Marvelous from DAS. Corda meat saves, sorry. And what I want to do is, oh, I thought we could turn it off here. We cannot. Okay, give me a second. So what we need to do is essentially getting rid of the hair for now and the boots. And I'm just gonna leave her and file, export, Candid to Marvelous from DAS. Okay, so that's how we're trying to do this. Oh, we don't really need this option, but why not, right? Figures, la la la, that should all be okay. Let's try this again. Okay, and yeah, let's try this again, literally. And just like, you can get used to this. It's usually it's a lot of like back and forth. Yeah, they have a DAS studio, so yeah, it's pretty like kind of self-explanatory, I guess. Yeah, so this one should have the, let's check for the sake of checking. Yeah, this one has the X joints, so that's great. Now we have like enough control in case, for example, we need to widen this gap, just, for example, to make stuff fit. I don't think we have to, but just for the sake of, having the option, I guess it's nice. And also I usually put my mesh on monochrome, because like this, I can really focus on what I'm designing and the silhouette rather than anything else. Something else you might want to consider, which I didn't, is that the subdivision level here is like pretty low. It shouldn't matter drastically, but if you want to have more control over it, then obviously you would need to, while exporting, you would say export and from DAS and say yes, and then you could say I have to figure this one out. I don't remember. I thought it was enough to include sub-D information, but I think it's not. But you can look this up, how to give your avatar more subdivision. This should be fairly easy to look up. Okay, anyhow, we're gonna get her the boots back and everything else, so we have a complete file in case we ever need it again. And yeah, I'm gonna close this. File, save project, right? Because this is where we want to go with this. I'm gonna do a project. And now I'm actually debating, because I already started with something I feel in another file, but it doesn't really matter. So file, save project, the Fabricant and clothing. Oh yeah, I see I already started this. Do I want to overwrite this one? I mean, I'm pretty sure I didn't yet. No, I did. I actually did. Fuck it. Okay, so file, open, project. So this is the import that you want, as discussed, and I'm gonna turn this into monochrome mesh again. Like this, we have a pure focus on whatever we want to build here. So yeah, that's about it. And then we start creating our garment, and I will fast forward through this process. I'm sure you have like enough cool resources for creating garments. So I don't feel like this is something that you need to be shown in all the little details. But we will talk again once I finish this, and once we go to setting up those like crazy cool rainbowy textures. And yeah, and then the last part is literally going into Blender, modeling some of these additional pieces, because I don't think whatever we're setting up here will be necessarily enough. And yeah, see you on the other side, guys. back in Marvelous Designer. And I did hear what I talked to you about, I think not in the last session, but the session before that. So I activated Remesh. This is, for now, it's exclusive to Marvelous Designer. It gives you a very kind of detailed and well done retopology of your mesh. because unlike other software, well, Blender really doesn't appreciate triangles. I know, weird, but it's a fact. So if you have the chance to make it a quad mesh before exporting, it's definitely the better choice. I also, you can see, I also made this like a cute little animation. It's really nothing special. She's supposed to look like she's, you know, being held in a little tube. So yeah, nothing special, like I said. It's really just a little bit like floaty in a tube. So yeah, that's another thing. And also I exported, and I just realized maybe I do this again, but okay, I don't really have to do this again. I showed you today, before in the same video, essentially, how to do this. So yeah, it's the same process. She's in here now, which is great. I get the feeling that this will not match up, but we're just gonna see, I guess. We're gonna see. Yeah, so this is her. We're gonna select everything. I will not bake our texture maps. Told you before, why not? So let's just let's just say I told you so. Okay, file, export, obj selected, and let's go to our folder. Yeah, I'm a folder nerd. Everything always has to be in a folder. And yeah, exporting it, I will export it as thick and as a single object without the avatar, without anything really other than setting this to meter. Very important. Okay, not centimeter, but meter, because Blender works in a metric system. Company from Amsterdam made it, so it's Europe, so get used to it. It's the metric system, and it's being measured in meters in Blender. Everything is meters. So what we exported, file, import, obj. Would be too nice if, oh, we're already in a folder. Nice. Yeah, I guess obj. And ooh, it's still exporting. Sorry, I was too hasty. So if this happens to you, don't worry, your file isn't broken. But what's being done is your information is being rendered in Blender as a cloud map or point cloud. This is what you call a point cloud. So it gives you already a very good impression of how this is coming out. Yeah, we can already see, as I assumed before, this is not matching up, but it's not really a problem, because remember that we have this like rigged, right? So no matter how it comes in here, really, we have the ability to pose it so that it will work, like either the garment, honestly, or the skeleton. And I guess in our case, I will move the skeleton a little bit, so it's no problem at all. Yeah, well, now it's really exported, so file, export. Okay, that's done. File, import, obj. Putting this in, now it should come in as a full mesh and not just a point cloud. Most of the time, you know, when you're like a little bit in shock because something is not working the way you assumed it would work, don't stress out at all, because most of the time it's something that you can fairly easily fix, I would say. So yeah, just important to keep your calm, I would say. Okay, I'm going in full front mode, so we can actually see what we're doing here, right? And let's just say pose mode. And yeah, let's try this. So that's not really giving us the result. Oh, I see what's happening. Do you see what's happening? I think there's already a problem with the translation here. Yeah, this is a little bit more tricky. So I'm not sure why this is translating so bad. I think it has to do with the shoes, in all honesty. I think the shoes are at fault, largely. But that's actually no real issue, because I would just say we're gonna throw out everything and everyone except for the shoes, you know? Just leave in the shoes. The shoes, like last time, I would just quickly foop, 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 get rid of the stuff that we don't want and we don't need, right? And also, yeah, I still have no clue how that even happened in the first place. Also don't know what this is. Like, I really wonder. Another zipper, another random zipper. So yeah, I think we just leave it like this and post the shoes, you know? I think that's the absolute safest bet on this. I'm actually gonna go here. I'm gonna export this from here again in the final pose, like so. File, send to, dust to Blender, skeleton mesh. Should be fine. Let's try this. Because I think the shoes are messing this up, but you know, I've been wrong before, so maybe I'm wrong again. Okay, and now let's try and import this again. So, yeah. Oh, this is super weird. Like, what's going on right now? What? Just like, what is this? What is this? And I think it's not gonna change our... I don't believe it's gonna change how we see the garment. This is so bothersome. I hate when stuff like this happens. It annoys me. I hate this. Yeah, no, it's not gonna change how we see the garment. Oh. I wonder if I have to go through this. Maybe I actually do. Do I really have to pose? Oh, this is so annoying. Maybe I just post the garment. I'm wondering. I mean, the only other way is go to start, right? But then this is animation, go to end. This is fairly annoying. I don't want to redo this. I really don't. But it's literally not translating well from here, so you can see this is actually very decent, right? So we're doing something wrong in here is what I'm trying to say. Send, okay. Choose morphs. You know what? Let's export the morphs. Subdivision, we leave advanced settings. Blender, open, skeleton mesh. Maybe we export the animation, just in case. Maybe we go back to 2012 binary. Let's just try. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying. because that didn't work very, very obviously. So is Genesis a female? Clear all poles. Let's just material, remove morph prefix, command list, utilities. You know what? I mean, let's try this. Let's try this once more. You know what? This looks fairly good, I would say. Okay, file, import, OBJ. Let's try our clothing. This actually looks very good. Sometimes playing around, totally worth it. Very nice. Okay. So we have her in here now. And I mean, we only need this here, I would say, but okay, let's just clip it to 58. So there is no confusion at some point in the story. And yeah, so this is our stage now, and I will move the shoes a little bit around, but I will not get too crazy with this, right? So yeah, I think fairly well equipped here. Also like that this finally seems like it came in the right way. Hey, it still didn't, but well, kind of did. More or less decent way. Still not great, but something we can work with. Okay. I see you in our next actual live session. See you guys. Hey, good morning. So this is our kind of end result, I guess, when it comes to the shape of the garment itself. Also, I tend to organize everything already in the 2D pattern window so that I don't have to struggle twice when it comes to the UV editor. I essentially just say reset to do the arrangement, and then I fit it all to one UV with just a margin of 0.01, and then, you know, it's all there. Granted, we could arrange this a little bit smarter. We could take, I think we should probably take this one down here, and this one maybe down here, and then fit, because then we get better resolution. But yeah, I tend to do it all on one tile. The reason for that is that in case we actually want to use this map, you get a fairly well, you just don't have to struggle with it, I guess. That's literally the only reason why I'm doing it. But you could do it by material, you know, you could use more than one UV tile to arrange your things. That wouldn't be a problem either. Okay, so now we have to go on to, or move on to the next big step, which for obvious reasons is turning on my speaker. Just kidding. No, for obvious reasons is like getting the right textures on here. So in here, you know, I honestly just used some fabrics from the library, and I inputted the image textures that we already had on the mood board. I think I used this one, and I used, I think I used actually this one then, and I used this one. So what you see here is essentially this one. And yeah, they are not the finished textures, right? This is like good to use as a placeholder or get like a feel for all of it, but it's not a proper texture in that sense. And also I think we will have to lower this poly count even more, so I can essentially also try and like sculpt some of the things, some of the details into it once we get to Blender. With details, I mean like, what do I mean with details? With details, I mean these kind of like little, you know, bits and pieces. I think we have to heighten the poly count for that by a lot. So just fair warning, this file will be huge. And yeah, so that's that, I guess. Yeah. So I think for now we're good. Let's just go with it, and we move on to finally texturing. I gave it a lot of thought. What are the textures that we want to focus on? And I really still want to do like the crystallized skin that we originally thought of. So I still think we should go for that. I also think that this texture is pretty intriguing, especially if you could switch between something like this and something like this. I'm not sure if we can accomplish this in like a fast manner, but I think we might as well attempt to try it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I also think the armor part should look kind of metallic, not just crystallized, but I'm not yet there. So I think we just jump into Substance Designer and just start experimenting a bit. I think, or it has been like proven to be a good approach, so this is the approach we're going to take. So I already opened Substance Designer, gonna create a new graph, obviously. Gonna call this, what should we call this? Maybe we'll start like with Crystal Skin. I think that would be a nice one to start with. We go with Metallic Roughness because that displays very nicely, honestly, in Blender. It's a classic PBR setup, 2048 by 2048, relative to parent. We do, well, it's a new package after all, so just gonna stick with it, and okay. What this gives you is a standard setup for the output, which is, and I like to reorganize, don't mind me, I get if you don't want to do it, but for me, like metallic and roughness output, they're like this, you know, one defining area, and sometimes I add like, I add an opacity map underneath, or I add a specular map additionally, but like the normal map, the height map, and the ambient occlusion map, they're the ones who are defining what you see in like the three-dimensional space, how light reflects, and so on, the depth of a material. So this is why I like to keep those three together, because usually they require similar outputs. So yeah, this is honestly the only reason. And then we go to our folder, Alana, Fabricant, texturing, and we call it Crystal Skin. Okay, so Crystal Skin, right? What does this mean? It means we need crystals. It means we need a bunch of transparency, so we will be able to map out the actual skin underneath. Yeah, so I guess we're gonna start by setting up our workspace a little bit more. So here's the 3D window, right? And by holding your left mouse button pressed, you can, let this baby float around. You can also zoom in with your mouse wheel. So if you don't have a mouse, please invest in a mouse with a mouse wheel. It's kind of mandatory. I know sucks if you're used to something different. I used to really, really love the Magic Mouse from my old Apple, but it's inevitable with 3D work, really, in my opinion, right? Or you get used to using a tablet all the time. I never could get used to it. I know it's supposed to be so much healthier for your hand, and yeah, I started to do a lot of hand gymnastics. So just saying. And yeah, so anyhow, left mouse button, you can drag this around and look at it from different perspectives. Right mouse button and forward and backward movement gives you like another zoom option, so if you don't have a mouse wheel. And then if you press, I think, Control Shift, you can actually move the light source. So there's an HDRI blended into this, which gives you different light aspects. And sometimes it's really nice because if you move the light, you get more of an answer on how reflective or how metallic your material really is. So that's a good shortcut. So it's Control Shift, and then it's the right mouse button. Also, I always mix it up. You will see me doing this like a ton of times and messing it up. Next thing we want to fix is the camera. Edit selected and set this to true. It gives you a much higher camera resolution than the standard one. You can also obviously pump this completely up, but I've made the experience that even like Instagram resolution works just fine, lets you see everything you need to see. Then the other one is fixing the material. So we said metallic roughness, not Adobe standard material. So we also want to see the output in this like little 3D window in metallic roughness. How does this look, right? And we select tessellation and displacement. And we set, for now, I guess, let's set this to 10. And let's set this to 24. We can always, as we start putting in more resources, we can always adjust. But I think, yeah, this is pretty much a good idea. And I have no idea why this keeps bugging out on me, but it is. Okay, so with every graph, the kind of like the secret recipe is starting with breaking down the shapes, right? So in our case, crystal skin, what is this supposed to have? And I keep thinking if we want the veins or if we don't want the veins, and I'm not entirely sure. So I think I'm gonna actually fairly speed up the next probably hour of this material, because I will just try a bunch and not always know the answer. You will also see me looking some stuff up here and there, because the nodes library in Substance Designer is quite vast, meaning there is never just one solution for one problem. So you might as well dive into how other people have solved things, and then from there start finding your own way to translate your own material. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure about this, but I think it would be nice to have the veins, but it might just turn out to be too much. So maybe we do the material, but we do it in a way where we can switch between having veins and not having veins. That might be a good idea. So yeah, I guess we're gonna start with this. But we could also start with the crystals. I don't know. I would just test my way forward and see on the other side.